Good afternoon and welcome to today's geography lesson, and we're going to carry on looking at physical and human geographical features. Can you remember what a human feature is and what a physical feature is in our landscape, in our geography? How can we describe a physical and a human feature? See if you can think and remember what types of things that you can see. Have a look out your window. What human features can you see? What geographical features can you see? We said physical features were things that were natural, that have always been there, like waterfalls and rivers and hills and mountains. And the human features that we see are buildings, things that humans have put there. So last lesson, I asked you to watch a video about Katie Morog, and Katie Morog showed us around the island of STRUAY. Now, Katie Morog is a fictional story, and an actor, a young girl acts and plays Katie Morog, and Katie Morog lives on the island of STRUAY, but it's based on, the stories are based on a real Scottish island, the Isle of Coll, and it's a real life island where the stories are based. And the author who wrote the Katie Morog books that the video is based on, that you watched when you saw Katie Morog look around the island, it's based on a real place, and the author used to live there, and it's called the Isle of Coll. So today we're going to look at where Coll is, and we're going to get how do we get to Coll and what it's like living there, and what's the difference. We're going to look at the human and geographical features of the island of Coll, and then we're going to be able to compare that to where we live. So where is Coll? What can you see on my map? What is my map showing me? You can see all these different names. We have Scotland, we have Ireland, we have Wales, we have London there, our capital city. It shows the North Sea and the North Atlantic Ocean. This is a map of the United Kingdom. It says there the UK. And this small island is the Isle of Man. These maps show us places, and it's a zoomed in version. We've zoomed in. If we looked at a globe or an atlas, we would have to zoom right in to find our island, because it is very small when we look at it on our big globes compared to lots of other places. So this is a smaller version, and it shows the whole of the UK. So there might be some places on there that you recognise. We can recognise the name of our capital city, London, and Scotland. You might have heard of Scotland before. Can you identify any other places on there that you might know or might have been to? But that's what our map shows. And the island of Coll is right up here, just off Scotland, and it's in the Hebrides. That's a small island just off the top of the UK, and it's a Scottish island, and that is where the Isle of Coll is. And here's an even closer version. You can see the top of the United Kingdom there, and this is an even closer version of the Isle of Coll. So what kind of island is Coll? When we say an island, and we looked at our human and geographical features, and we named different places, we looked at cities and towns and villages. Has Coll got a city? When you watched the video, did you see any big tall buildings? Did you see any cities or any towns in the island of Coll? There was a small town, wasn't there? But mainly there were lots of small villages on the Isle of Coll when Katie Morog showed us round, and she lived in a small village in Coll. So it's a very small island and a very small place. And so when you watch the video, how did she describe it? She used those words, didn't she? She said it was a small island. She said it was quiet. And it's just, Coll is one of the inner Hebrides. So there's other small islands in the Hebrides, but it's the inner part of the Hebrides. And the island is only 13 miles long and just 3 miles wide. So it's a really small island. And she described it as rugged. Why do you think, what physical features on the island that you saw would make it want to sound like it was a rugged island? it was windy, and the weather, when there's a storm, it's really windy with the sea and the rough oceans around it, and the rough sea around it. There's lots of hills and cliffs and mountain and small hills, and there's some big hills as well, not quite mountains on there, but that's what makes it sound rugged. And there's only 170 people that live on the island of Coll. So there are some physical features for you, but now we're going to look at some human features of the island of Coll. So there are just 2 shops, a community centre and a hotel and a guest house for when people travel to the island and want to stay on the island. There's just 1 post office, 1 gift shop, 1 craft shop, and a very small primary school. There's a medical centre, and that just has 1 doctor and 1 nurse. So what would happen if there was an emergency and you needed a hospital, do you think? How do you think you would get from the island of Coll to the mainland? What they say the mainland is on the other side in Scotland. They would use things like a helicopter or a speedboat to get across back to the mainland, to get there quickly, to get medical attention and things like that. But there is just 1 primary school. There is no secondary school. They have to travel to the mainland. So 29 teenagers that live on the Isle of Coll have to travel to the mainland for their secondary school, for their big school, their high school. So it's a very small island, but there's just a few of the human features, but it is a village. So which photographs were taken on the island of Coll, do you think? Now we know how we've described the island of Coll as a small island with a village, and we've looked at some geographical and human features that we know is on Coll. Which images on there do you think are the odd ones out? What about this first one here? Do you think this one was taken on the island of Coll? What does it look like? Have a look at the features of the picture and the human features of this picture here. That was taken in a city. Look at the big tall buildings. Lots of human features on that picture. I don't think we'd find anything like that on the island of Coll, would we? What's about this picture? The small harbour where the boats stay. That looks like it would have been on Coll. We've got a few human features, but mostly we have physical features of the land and the ocean and the small harbour. What about this one? That's definitely another one that was taken on the island of Coll, wasn't it? Lots of hills, that's how it looks rugged. Lots of hills, and you can see just the river at the back. Some human features there, but only very small. Can you remember there were just a few buildings on the island of Coll, and it's a small village. That's about this one. These houses look very modern with big streets. I think this is an odd one out. The city picture on this one is definitely our odd one out. What about this one with the bridge? Do you think there would be a big bridge like that on the island of Coll? I don't think so. I don't think the island of Coll's very big to have a big bridge like that crossing it. And this one's a beautiful picture, and that was definitely on the island of Coll, with the sea and the rugged cliffs to the ocean. A coastline. Can you remember our word that we used, our coastline, where the land meets the sea? So we have 3 pictures there that are our odd ones out. We can see with the features, the human and physical features, that those 3 do not fit with the island of Coll. So here is your task today. I want you to use a map and a grid to complete the questions. We're going to look at the human and geographical features on the map, and we're going to answer some questions. So let's have a look at the first one together. So mums and dads, if you're at home, might need to write these questions down and then pause the video onto this page to see. And same for those at school. So we're going to look at 2 things that you can see in B7. Is it a human feature or a physical feature? So how are we going to read our map? It said B7. So we look at our letters. Here's the letter B. And we stay on this line in this grid. And we stop at the number 7. and where the number 7 and B meet, that is where the box, the grid that you need to look at. Have a look what's in there. It's the blue-eyed lighthouse and the wild goat place. There are 2 features there in our square B7. So take a look. Are they human features or are they physical features? What about a lighthouse? Is that a human or a physical feature? What about the wild goat place? I think that looks like a big open area for the goats to stay on. Is that a human or a geographical feature? Write those down and complete your grid with using the coordinates. We say they are coordinates. V7 is our coordinate, and see if we can write the human and geographical features down. Sometimes it might ask for the coordinates of a place. So what box is the holiday house in? So first we need to find the holiday house, and then once you've found the holiday house, you need to write the right coordinates to match. I've just given you a little clue there. So you can write these down and then pause the video here to keep up the map to complete your activity. And let me know about the human and geographical features you see when you're writing down. Good luck, and we will see you for the next geography lesson.